Hey, this is Ihab, and in today's video I want to cover the Flipbook in Procreate Dreams 2. These are going to be series of videos, and each video is going to be an exercise where we can practice and digest these new features of the Flipbook. Let's get started. The video is going to cover the creation of this exercise from start to finish. So if you want to only skip to the part where I demonstrate technically, I'll throw the time code so you can just skip through. First, I'm gonna start with a drawing layer, and then I'm gonna create the ground. Then I'm gonna create a flipbook. One of the biggest features that they have added for the flipbook is the ability to add different layers of flipbook. Okay, so I'm gonna start by creating a vehicle, and what I want to do is, let me plan it out for you just so we can have an idea what we're making. A vehicle, and then it's gonna have exhaust animation. It's going to have, just for the aesthetic, I'll do something like a siren maybe. You can do anything else. Also, I want to create movement for the tires. I can also, instead of the siren, or maybe with the siren, I can do something like an engine intake, just to make it feel like it's rumbling. And then I'm gonna end up with a single flipbook, meaning when I go into the main project, I'm gonna end up with a single flipbook that has all the animation in there playing as a group. That's gonna be the exercise. So if you know how that is done, you can skip the entire video and watch something else that you might find more meaningful for your time. With that said, I'm gonna click and hold, and this is basically the beginning of me demonstrating the features for the flipbook. So starting now, one of the features you need to keep in mind is clear frame. The frame itself of the flipbook has everything related to the flipbook on that frame, meaning it is different than the layers. So let's say, for instance, I have a vehicle. If I go into the layers, I could add a different layer for that greenhouse, for instance. Greenhouse. It's a fun name to know about cars. So the greenhouse is separate, but if I go here, press and hold, and then clear frame. When I clear the frame, notice how the layers disappear. So what are we concluding here? Any changes you make to the frame of that flipbook affects all the layers. So this has the override power over everything that's in those layers. Let's get started on creating some vehicle. When you create a vehicle, you start with what is called the wheelbase, which typically has a specific ratio depending on the car. If it's a sportive car, this would be 3.5 or 3.25, but in speedy car, this would be 2.5 to almost 3 or less. So to make it more cartoony, I'm gonna actually make this to be even shorter, just to make it more fun. And I'll also make the back wheel to be larger. And now I'm gonna do the rest of the vehicle here. Here is the, I want to have a kind of a longer hood, just so you can have an area for the engine intake. I'll create an antenna. So as of now, I'm creating everything as just one frame, because I'm just sketching out this vehicle. And I'm trying to come up with simple yet effective accessories to animate as secondary character along with this vehicle. So exhaust. So I have 1 item, 2, 3, and 4, which would be the wheels. And that's enough to create some fun animation. Now I'm gonna create not a different layer. No. I'm going to create a different flipbook layer. And in this flipbook, I'm going to make the wheels. And for cartoony aesthetic, I'm gonna make those wheels to be a little oval, just to make it seem that it's going in a rush. Now, as you can see, it already adds a lot of characteristic to the car by making that oval shape. That's the premise here. So this is gonna be the layer for the wheels, and because it's on a separate flipbook layer, I can make these modifications to it without worrying about the rest of the vehicle. You can also test out how it would look if you were to vibrate the wheels. But what I want to do for this exercise is to do wiggly animation. Soon you'll see what I mean. Now I'm gonna go and hide the car. Okay. Now here's a pro tip for you. If you're watching at this point and you're not skipping to the technical part, here is your reward. Something that might blow your mind. If you were to draw these tires in this order versus in this order, as you can see, it's the same. It's just an oval. But when you do wiggle animation, it's kind of amazing. If you do the drawing in this direction, it tends to feel that it's actually rotating in this direction. But if you draw it this way, I want you to test it out and let me know if that was your case. So now what I'm going to do is redraw the same wheels, and I couldn't care less about the perfection. In fact, I want them to be imperfect. Here you go. We're already feeling, or you're already seeing what I'm up to. I'm simply creating this idle animation feeling by just redrawing about 5 frames of the same thing. Now, if I go to the flipbook, go to the settings, and then go into the project, the first one, and change this to 12. This way I can view the animation 12 frames per second, or what is professionally known as on 2s. See that? Now let's go to the vehicle. What do we want to steal from this vehicle? We want to steal this engine. Okay, so I can go into the select and just cut it out. 3 fingers, swipe down, then create a new flipbook, and then you can hide the car just for insurance, meaning making sure that you're pasting on into the right layer. And now I'm gonna show the car. Select here on this frame, go to the transform, and then move it into the car. Let's improve this. Okay, so let's make a quick test, right? Get some vibration and it would just give you that feeling overall. Okay, next I'm going to steal the antenna. Now, if I want to add some drama to it, what I can do is to have some characteristic vibration. Here's another feature to demonstrate. Click and hold, and then track options, and then duplicate. So what did I just do? I created a duplicate layer of that flipbook that has the antenna. Why is this really important and useful? Because now if I made some horrible decisions or horrible mistakes, then I can go and default to the one that I drew originally. Okay, so now at this point what I want to do is to just really recreate this in a way that it's wobbly. I'm gonna keep the first frame and then just redraw the other one. Now I'm going to experiment a little bit after I'm done with this one. I am making a safe copy, and as you can see, it's just a lot easier to work when you know that you have a safe copy that you can default to. And it's kind of important to keep the tips to be consistent, kind of important, because to make it imperfect, that's actually a good thing. All right, so what do I have now? I'm going to take the same stylized track and duplicate it and then hide that stylized one. So to recap, so this is the static one, and this is the one with a little bit of wiggle. And this one, what I'm going to do is to do a very mild smearing. Let's play that and then I will explain. I like it better. Now, let me explain what I did there. If the antenna is moving from this direction to that direction, okay, what does that mean? It means that the antenna has moved in that direction. It would be a terrible idea to make the smearing to be like that, because it has just, the smearing is a representation of the echo or the ghost, depends on what software you use. But if the antenna is moving from here all the way there, these frames are the ones leading us to this final conclusion, and therefore it is only reasonable to draw the smear frames to be representing the past of that movement. So therefore what I did there was that, at least initially, if the antenna is moving in that direction, then the smears have to come from here. If the antenna is going back and forth like that, then it's kind of like fuzzy and back and forth. Then in that case, those smears would be effective. Let's watch again. This is going to be my preference. You do your own version and have fun with it. So with that, for just keeping things organized, I'm going to click and hold track options and delete track. If you click on delete frame, that's only going to delete the frame. Okay, so click and hold, track options, delete track. Same thing here. Click and hold, track options, delete track. And next, what I want to demonstrate is another feature about the Flipbook. The feature is that we can click and hold and move a specific frame any way we want, like that. And you can say, for instance, well, I want it to be moving this way. You can definitely do that. Okay, so right now, this is what I have. Let's do the rumbling animation on that engine. I can do either wiggle, which is draw over with imperfection, or I can do some vibration, or I can do both. Now, in the meantime, here's another thing that you should keep in mind. As of now, I'm testing these movements, and it's kind of annoying to see them without the car. So click on the car, click again on that frame in the Flipbook. You click and hold the end side of it, and that's going to extend that frame. And therefore, this is what's going to look like. Now, what I can experiment with is to take that car and just make some animation to it. Okay, so let me first do some refinement to this car. Now that you're done with your vehicle, you want to refine it. What is the best way to refine your drawing that is on a flipbook? Well, this is where we go into the layers. We drop the opacity down, you create a new layer, and now you redraw over it. And that is why it is quite useful to have the layering system inside the flipbook. Now this is going to be actually more effective because then I can make the whole exhaust to be bending and recoiling from the pushes that I will get out of it, or the smoke. Okay, so to save myself the time, what I'm going to do now is to click and hold on that layer, and then I can duplicate. This way I can save myself the time by just rotating it. Now what I want to do is to draw some puffs out of it. I'm gonna make the small puffs before the recoil. Then after the recoil, they would just come out bigger. And I'll just make some swoosh lines. And I'm not going to repeat the same frames. So I'm gonna make some variations for those puffs, because otherwise it would seem a little boringly repetitive. What do we have here? And now I think the movement of the car would add a great deal. Now, one thing that is worth experimenting with or testing is whether the vibration of the car would be better, or if I were to just draw over the car to create some wiggle movement. I'm just gonna go with the just shake, and that would be really simple to mimic. What I want to do is a small up and down. Before I do so, I'm gonna go into that engine area here. When you extend a frame, you can go to the second frame, click and hold, and then split content. That would make it a completely separate frame. And I can just push it down and click and hold on the one after, split content. The benefit of splitting only after I'm done is because any extension is gonna hold the same changes, meaning if I move this all the way here, then that's gonna be the same look for the frame after. So this way it's easier to work with it by doing the split on demand. So there's that, and then click and hold, and then split, and then click here, and then push down. Okay, let's see. I'm not too happy with the engine. I want to make it a little more clunky. Okay, so this is the animation. Now what I'm going to do is to go to Flipbook and identify the length of the movement or the animation. Okay, go here. If I click and hold and click on split content, click and hold, delete, then it is stopping exactly at the point where the animation ends. If I'm happy with this result, I'm gonna click and hold, and I'm going to, this time, click on Duplicate After. This is something I learned from one of the comments on my video. So I want to give credit to that. Okay, so the next step is to duplicate this and place it in here. In my previous videos, I did a duplicate and then I moved over. So there is that process of spending more time to do that process. Or I can do like one of the comments that brought up to my attention that there is this option to duplicate after. So thank you for that tip. And now I'm passing it to you. What I can also do now is to use the same lasso tool here as well. And I can select these two and then click and hold and then duplicate after. Check this out. We now have all of this animation going on. Okay, so now that I have this, what I'm going to do is to click on the lasso and just give it a longer time to give myself more animation wiggle room, and then duplicate after. It wouldn't hurt to have more time there. So it's going to play within this length. I can either animate using the perform, which would be fun, but in this case I want it to stay on the ground. So somewhere here in between I can just animate that to be here, move and scale, and then here I'm gonna drag it to the left and then all the way here, tap and move it all the way there. And let's see what I have. I think it would be more fun to not make it necessarily leave the screen. So let's try a different type of animation. I can simply click and hold and duplicate this layer or group, and then I'm gonna hide that group, and on this one I'm gonna click and hold and delete the animation that I created. And what I want this time is to make it animated with the perform. And with the perform, I'm gonna click move and scale. Okay, let's have some fun with it. So you can make a racing situation where you would have back and forth. This is exactly how they did Fast and Furious. Okay, I hope this video was helpful. In the next lesson, I'm going to talk about doing some reflection animation, also using the Flipbook features.